Hey, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Zenobia.
And you are one-on-one with the Jackson. All right, so we're here today back with another installment in our series, Reset Your Marriage. And in 2024, that's what we've been talking about. That's what we've been dealing with, is how we go about resetting our marriage to ensure that our marriage is operating at its highest capacity. Mm-hmm. And so this particular segment is all about quality time. And we all can acknowledge that obviously this life is very short, and as we get older, I think we realize that more and more. So every moment we get an opportunity to spend together, we have to take full advantage of it, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. And we have to protect and be intentional about the time in which we spend together, and to ensure that the time we do spend together is quality time.
And if you are in our area, you guys, it has been snowing. So this is perfect. This is a perfect time for us to kind of sit and talk a little bit more about quality time and what does that mean for you and your spouse during this season of your life.
Right. And it has to be a desire for it. Like a desire, a lot of times, people talk about the pandemic and how they were just so ready to get out the house, so ready to get away from their spouse and their children and things of that nature. Which is understandable when we spend a lot of time, together, because again, separation builds the bond. However, the time that we spend together, there has to be a desire for it. In other words, you should have a desire to spend quality time with your spouse. And so where does that desire stem from? And that's some of the things that we're going to talk about today, is that desire. And then, of course, if I like the person that I'm with, if I'm friends with the person that I'm with, I'm more likely to want to spend time with that person. And the sad part is that we've seen too many couples who do not have individual connections, i.e. friendships, where they want to spend time together.
Friends first.
Right. And so we had to be friends first. And that's kind of how we started. I share with people all the time that we didn't set out to be married. It's one of the mistakes that I see a lot of would-be couples making, or people singles making, is that they're trying to be in a relationship. One thing I can say is that we wasn't trying to be in a relationship. We're too many people are trying to force it to happen. They're on all these apps and doing all these different things trying to force a relationship, and we should not be forcing a relationship. We should actually be forging a friendship. And so and if it turns into a relationship, okay, great, but it has to start with a friendship, because if you don't like spending quality time with this person as friends, then you're likely not to like spending quality time with this person as a couple.
And that's a good foundation that I believe every couple should build on, is that of a friendship, not looking to husband and wife, not looking to the white picket fence and the children and all the things, but just getting to know that individual, right? And so that's how my husband and I essentially met. We were on the campus of Mississippi Valley State University. We had a mutual friend that knew both of us, and she took me to the union and was like, hey, I got this guy I want you to meet. And we ended up just talking that night. I remember him asking me, hey, you want to go back to, walk you back to your room or what have you.
Right, because I was there, we just went to play spades. So again, we didn't go to the student union.
I wasn't looking for no boyfriend.
Leah looking for a relationship. We went to play spades like we would normally do. So it was in the normal course of life where this happened, and that's how most real authentic relationships are built, in the normal course of life. So many times for like our singles, they just need to keep living. And in the normal course of life, you'll end up meeting people and that sort of thing, and those relationships can naturally evolve.
And I remember I was going through some things with my mom at the time, and I was sharing it with him, and it was just an instant connection of friendship, like somebody of the opposite sex that I could speak to freely without any judgment. And that's what the word of God says, right? In Proverbs chapter 27 verse 9, it says, perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from their heartfelt advice. And so essentially it says that friends give pleasant, sincere advice, seeking our highest good. And that's how our friendship started. Before we even thought about hooking up and getting together and getting married, it was just a conversation.
It was.
A friendly conversation.
It was. And we realized we had a lot of things in common. We realized that we enjoyed each other's company. And like you said, like that conversation lasted for hours.
Yeah.
And then I guess you could say the rest is history, because we just continued that conversation, and that's essentially what happened. That first conversation, we just continued it, and with all the ups and the downs, and of course, because everything wasn't peaches and cream, and things wasn't always smooth throughout our marriage, over these 22 years. But how these 22 years stem from that 1 4-hour conversation, which stemmed from us just going to the student union just to have fun, just to hang out, and then these things kind of transpired after that.
So as we talk about resetting our marriages in 2024, today is focused on resetting your friendship. Some of you all may need to actually establish a friendship with your spouse, and then some of us may need to re-establish a friendship with our spouse, pressing that reset button, right? So let's look at what it means to first and foremost establish a friendship, because sometimes we may assume that couples have already been friends first. You've been married 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but you never were friends to begin with. So what type of advice can we give them on establishing a friendship first and foremost?
Well, we had to move away from the arrangement, because that's one of the things that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people who, they're in their marriage, they have an arrangement.
Yeah, an arrangement.
Like you do your piece, I do my piece. Hey, you take care of this, I take care of that, and it's more of an arrangement.
So robotic.
Yeah, it is, and that many times you can sense it, you can feel it, they can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's not something we desire, but if I'm staying connected because I don't have enough money to fend for myself if we're not together, or how would I have to, or what things in our lifestyle would have to change, and things of that nature. And many times a part of us resetting our friendship is going back and looking at who am I today.
Yeah.
The guy who my wife met 22 years ago on Mississippi Valley State, or 23 years ago on Mississippi Valley State campus, I'm not that same guy today. And I imagine that your spouse is not the same person they were when you met them. So is it possible that sometimes you might need to get to know the new person? You may need to get to know your spouse today, not the one that you thought you knew, because as we grow and we evolve and we mature. And so who am I today? What are my likes and my dislikes today? Listen, the things I ran after previously, I don't run after today. The things I enjoy, what I called enjoyment and fun previously, I look at something different today that I would consider joy and enjoyment and fun. What I do today, and those things are very, very different.
Very different.
And you have to keep up with who you are, like who are you today, and what things resonate with you, and then also who is my spouse today, and what things actually resonate with them.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And kings and queens, for those couples that need to reestablish, right? I always think about having those conversations, those consistent conversations, because like my husband said, we all are continuing to evolve, right? And so whatever may have drawn you to him or her in the beginning, like, have those conversations. Is this the same man that I married? Is this the same woman that I married? And if it's not, be able to catch up to where they are now. Sometimes we're trying to get that 18-year-old person that we had, and now we're in our 40s and 50s, but he or she may not be that person. So being able to reestablish that quality time is simply, having conversations just to catch up with them and see where they are right now in their life, and know that y'all still can have fun. Because when you think about a friend, like, what comes to your mind? When I think about a friend, I think about someone that I actually like, that I actually enjoy their company, that I can be open and transparent with without any judgment. You know what I'm saying? And so, those are some of those conversations that we have to even see our spouses as friends. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. No, that's good.
So, couples, when you think about the word quality time, what comes to your mind? I know for myself as a woman, I can't speak for all women, but when I think about quality time for myself, I think about My husband, I think about you listening to me, because I love to talk, y'all. I think about you like listening to me, you know, like no distractions, no phones, just you being there, being present, like your mind is there, you're not drifting off, you know. Because in time past, y'all, like he kind of tried to get over on me by looking at me, but I can tell that he really wasn't there. Y'all got a husband like that, y'all know. But now, you know, when we have those conversations, like he's more intentional, and that's for me, that's that quality time to where when we having a conversation or we watching TV or whatever the case may be, like you are presently there, not only physically, but your mind is there too. And it's not even all the time of us going somewhere. It's just us being together. For me, it's quality time.
And I've had to be very intentional about that, because most of the time we're not naturally expressive. Most men are not, and we have to be intentional about the way we express ourselves and the way we respond when our spouses express themselves unto us. And so I had to be very intentional about that, and about how it is that I commune with her, and sometimes those things, just those questions, like don't assume, but ask. Like don't assume like your spouse wants this, or that this will make them happy, or they really want to do this, when we could just simply ask. And one of the things I found out is that if I ask, my wife would just tell me exactly what she wants, exactly what she needs from me, and then at that point it's up to me to make the necessary adjustments to give her what she needs and what she wants. From my perspective, again, when I think about quality time, I think about just a time where we're undisturbed, where it's just me and you. One of the things that, you know, I hate is, you know, when I see couples who, you know, you at dinner, but both of y'all just with your phone in your face. And so I don't quantify that as quality time. Or, you know, you so busy where you can't cut your phone off, or, you know, like, I guess, you know, you gonna miss something or something to that effect. And I just think that, one, that's not a life to live. If you live a life to where you cannot have any personal time for yourself or your spouse, then that is one type of life I know I would never want to have to live, where I can't have any personal time because somebody needs to get a hold of me and that sort of thing. And one thing I've learned over the years is to not let other people's emergency become my emergency.
That's right.
And so the time that I have set aside with my wife, that time is specifically set aside with her, and it's undisturbed. It's undisturbed, and that's what I think about that quality time. So if it's just us just sitting in front of the fire that you might can hear in the background, if that's it, just we and the lazy boys, we just sitting in front of the fire, phones in the bedroom on the charger, and we just get a chance to talk, we just get a chance to watch a movie, we just get a chance to, you know, whether it's we making notes or we just having some conversation, or if we just sitting. That's what I think about when I think about quality time, and even think about that today, how different that would be from if you asked me that 20 years ago. What would be my response 20 years ago opposed to what my response is today?
Different.
That talks about my evolution, and those people who are around me will hear me talk about, especially in this season where we got snow on the ground, they will hear me talking about my fireplace. Like, man, I'm just waiting to get home and get in front of my fireplace. Like, I'm saying that like literally almost every day. Like that's what brings enjoyment to me today in this season. I just want to get in front of my fireplace. And so in this life where, you know, they say this, the best things in life are free, and it's in this season I realize how many of the simple things are the things that bring me the most enjoyment.
Amen.
Well, but then, so I want to make sure we address what quality time is not.
Okay, gotcha.
And so we kind of touched on it a little bit about, okay, if one or the other person is just stuck in their phone and just feel like they got to check emails or catch up on their social media, then they're not giving you the time or attention for that. And I always say that, you know, if you were sitting in front of President Obama or whoever else you idolize or whoever else you look up to, you wouldn't be sitting there in your phone if you had an opportunity to sit across from somebody who you admired or somebody who mentored you. You wouldn't do that. So why then would you do that to your spouse? If you would give somebody else your undivided attention, why would you not give your spouse your undivided attention? And so if we've been guilty of that, today is the acceptable day. How about I do better?
Yeah.
That I'm gonna make sure that not only do I keep that in the forefront of my mind, but I let everybody know that my spouse, she is one with me. She is the most important person in my life, period. And I won't put anything else above her.
Amen. And so when I think about what quality time is not, it's not so much like the things that you do with each other. Because, we hear couples, especially like in the early stages of their relationship, wanting to go to all the places, right? The best restaurants, traveling here and there and buying this and buying that. It's not so much what you do rather than whom you're doing it with. So we don't want you guys to get caught up in all the whining and dining and miss out on the person that you're with. There's nothing wrong with traveling. There's nothing wrong with shopping. There's nothing wrong with going to all the places and doing all the things. But making sure that you focus on more so who you get to do those things with, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because for me, that's what it's about. I told my husband, I said, it doesn't matter what we do, as long as we
get to do it together.
As long as we get to do it together, it doesn't matter.
And when I think of, looking back over our lifetime, we've been in a lot of different fancy restaurants. We've been a lot of different vacations and a lot of different places. You know what I remember most of when I think about quality time that we've had a chance to spend together? I think about the Greenville levee. I think about the times where we didn't have a lot of money and we used to go to the bread. They used to have a bread house in Greenville. And I remember we used to go and buy, get a loaf of bread for $0.25.
Yeah.
And I remember we used to go downtown on the levee and we used to feed the ducks.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember. So when I think about that, out of all these fancy places that we've been to, I'm most reminded about the $25 that I spent on a loaf of bread.
25 cents.
25 cents that I spent on the 25 cents I spent on a loaf of bread for us to go and feed the ducks.
It's about $25 now.
Right.
Back then it was 25 cents.
Yeah. And that's what I remember most.
Yeah.
And even thinking about like when we go out, like we're out to dinner. Listen, don't spend all your time, or like if you go to a concert, don't spend all your time trying to record the concert for somebody else where you miss it yourself.
I'm guilty.
Don't spend all your time trying to video the meal so you can post it and not actually enjoying the presentation yourself. Yeah. And my wife tell you, I'm always saying like, listen, just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Like don't be trying to capture the moment, like because you spend so much time trying to capture it that you fail to enjoy it. And so again, make sure that even when you have these opportunities to go to various places and experience certain things, make sure you actually experience it while you're actually in that moment.
He talking to me on that one, y'all. That's good.
All right, so prioritizing quality time. I think that's what you was going to lead into.
Yes, and so that's the whole protect thing. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of taking pictures of my food. I'm guilty of recording and doing all the things. And so, but when we talk about protecting, like this is the biggest hindrance for me, I know, and for many couples. And so I challenge myself today, along with other couples, or rather I encourage us, how about we leave our phones in the car? Like we've done that in time past, so where we didn't even take our phones in. We don't have small babies anymore, right? So we don't have to be on speed dial. Like we can really sit down and enjoy the moment. And so as you all continue to as you move forward to establish or re-establish your quality time with your spouse, let that be one of the things that you do to protect your time. Leave those phones in the car. If you're going out to dinner, if you're doing something, or even if you're at home, oh my gosh, you're about to watch a movie, turn that phone off and put it in the bedroom and let it just be you and him.
All right. No, that makes sense. And this time that you spend together has to be on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So you should be consistently and constantly. You shouldn't get to a place where you're like, man, it's been a long time since we've been out to dinner or since we've been on a date. Yeah. It should be regular, meaning that you control your calendar, you control your days and your time. So then you control, again, when you spend this quality time. So it should be regular. So Tuesday night is our date night. So, and that Tuesday night looks very different from week to week.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go out to eat. We like to, my wife is a foodie, so going to different restaurants. We, a lot of different, all these little holes in the wall that have real good food that you probably never heard of, that people don't really talk about. Yeah. We like to hit places like that, and to find them like hidden food gems. That's one of the things we like to do. Sometimes Tuesday night, it could be right here at the house, right here in front of this fire, and so it just depends. But that time is set aside. It's on my calendar. Yeah. And I make sure it's on the calendar to like, this is what we do and this is how we do it. And then you have to protect that time. Yeah. So if I know Tuesday night is my date night, then I protect that time, because if not, somebody will steal it from you. Yes. Somebody will make their emergency your emergency, or somebody will hit you with something, or somebody make a request from you. And the biggest thing that we had to learn over the years was just to say no. Yeah. Was just to say no. Yeah, so I'm not letting no work. I'm not letting no job. I'm not letting no supervisors. I'm not letting no family, no friends take away the time that I had, the quality time that I had set aside to spend with my spouse. And I protect that, and I am very intentional about protecting that time.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for that.
And you have to be intentional too. If not, you'll look up and all the things that you plan to do, you never actually do. Yep. So here's one of the challenges. So I challenge you, one, to set a regular time where you all get together. Yes. So whatever time that is, you all know your schedules, but be intentional about it. Yep. I challenge you to put your vacations on the calendar. Yep. Most of the time, people don't take vacations because they never plan to take one. That's why you'll never take one. When we at the end of every year, so we take several vacations throughout the year. One of our biggest vacations is our New Year's vacation, because we leave after Christmas and we'll be gone for 7 days and bring in the New Year's, usually international. Yeah. And so when we finish this, we just came back from Mexico, and so now we've already put on the calendar for this coming year. So 12 months in advance, it's already on the calendar. Yeah. And I don't care what's going on in life, wherever we're taking that trip. And that's one of the things that I do not do anymore, which I've been guilty of in the past, is canceling or changing vacations because something came up. Yeah. Oh, I make sure don't nothing come up during that time. Yeah. And if something do come up, it's just going to be up until I get back, because I'm not going to take away the quality time that I have with my wife, because time is our most precious commodity. It's the very thing that we can never get back. I can always get more money. I can always get another job. I can always get so many other things, but I can never get time back that I failed to spend with my wife.
Yeah. And you know what, you all, quality time brings forth a closer bond with your spouse. You know, we talk about friendship, and it strengthens your emotional and physical relationship, the most emotional and physical aspect of your relationship. So we're gonna be talking about that, I think, next week. I'm not sure, but we're definitely gonna be talking about intimacy and sex in the Christian marriage, what that looks like.
And this quality time leads to that. So if you get this right, you might be able to have more of the intimate aspect of it as well. Yeah. So that's what we wanted to share with you all. God bless you. By all means, you can like and share and just stay up with us. We'll be obviously doing a new video each week. And so we hope this helps you in your marriage.
And don't forget, this Thursday, A&Z Live will be going live on Facebook and YouTube at 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bring your questions in relationship to quality time or anything else that may be pressing your heart, because that's what we're going to be there for, to answer your questions.
God bless you.
God bless.